developer relations is all about the impact on the success of the developers in your product. Let's talk about developer relations in 2024, because last year was pretty rough for lots of startups. There's this pendulum swing of money is cheap, investments go fast, versus actually make things work now because money is tight. All those things happen, and you know what? Developer relations teams are generally the first ones who get the boot in this kind of situations. Because developer relations is really wide-ranging. It's really hard for the folks who are looking at the business of what is success and what is not success to figure out this is what a dev role does, this is where they stay, and these are their goals. And so I want to talk about what you can do as a dev role in 2024 to make this successful. And so in the end, when you think about it, developer relations is all about the impact on the success of the developers in your product. Where once they're in, you actually take care of those developers, right? You figure out what do they need to be more successful. And so in the end, developer relations teams need to show the impact that they have, of course, on developer success, but that goes into revenue. Revenue is the word. Make sure as a developer relations team that you have all these touch points on where is the revenue made when a developer enters the whole cycle, right? If it's just about the signups to get people in, some of them will on their own figure things out and buy, but that is not actually touching the revenue as much. It's just touching the growth and showing the potential. But where the real revenue is actually when these developers start to become successful inside. They're taken care of by developer relations teams and they start to, inspire their bosses to buy. It starts to actually be very interesting when you think about customer success teams and enablement teams and partner teams inside startups. Developer relations people can make the content and the programs and the learning paths and all of that for all these departments. And then suddenly the developer relations team actually adds to how we get recurring revenue from customer success, or how we get new revenue from partner product-led growth with, let's say, agencies that love your CMS, use it, and then actually, buy more and more for their customers. And so it's all about how do we make sure developers are more successful. And then we measure all these points and then you show your worth. And so it's a true impact on the success of developers. You make them faster towards goals and growth, because that's what we want. To actually measure the success of people staying in, that's where the money will be made later on, right? So measure from sign up to first API usage, or sign up to creating a schema in a database, let's say for a CMS, that is then extended and used. Or things like that, like activation. How many projects does a person start after being signed up? How many projects are actually used live where the API endpoint is actually used? Like there's lots of these measurements, like is somebody still active after 7 days of signing up? Like there's a ton of those tiny metrics that are really interesting to see, because the more you know about that, the more you can attribute the developers' use cases and whatever they do to developer relations work. Because if you make amazing starters where you have a setup of your product and a front-end code, for example, that accelerates that usage immediately, right? And then you set them up for success to do more things later. I think I got my point across. It's a hard time for developer relations folks, and so play the game, understand the disciplines, and figure out how you can impact developer success and therefore show revenue, in a positive way. Anyways, that's it. Good luck. Cheers.